Hello, I'm continuing my Beatles discography review with Revolver. So Revolver is the seventh studio album by the Beatles, and it was released on August 5th, 1966. So, and this was a huge progression in their sound. So Revolver was the beginning of their creative peak. Well, this stretches it even further. Like, this is like their first, I would say their very first psychedelic album. So let's go through the tracks. So it opens up with George Harrison's Taxman. This is a brilliant song. It opens up with that 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pretty much similar to how I saw her standing there on Please Please Me. It opened up with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the song came in. On this one, it's actually a slow 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, instead of like shouting 1, 2, 3, 4, is actually I think it's George saying it, or I don't know who's actually saying it, but George does sing this song, so I'm assuming it's him saying it. Yeah, he says it slowly, and then the song comes in. And the guitar solo on this is brilliant. The guitar solo on here is actually played by Paul McCartney, which I actually thought it was George, because George does sing this song, and he was the Beatles' lead guitarist. So I was assuming that he did the guitar solo, but no, it was actually Paul. And yeah, this shows how brilliant Paul McCartney was on the guitar. And the lyrics are great as well. I'd say this is like the Beatles' first sort of political song. But yeah, it's a great song. One of my favourite George songs. Track 2 is the classic Eleanor Rigby. How brilliant is this? Like, there's no drums or guitars or bass on here. It's just violins and cellos, and it's just so brilliant. Yeah, I love the lyrics. Like, Paul McCartney was a genius. I mean, this is just fantastic, and the harmonies during the chorus. I love this song, and this is one of the singles on the album. And the single the single was actually released on the same day as the album. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, Eleanor Rigby's great. If you don't know that song, I don't know where you've been living. Track 3 is I'm Only Sleeping. So this is the first John Lennon song on the album, and this is a very sort of psychedelic song. It's very dreamy. It's got very dreamy lyrics. It's basically just John, like in real life, when John when he wasn't working, when he wasn't recording music, he was at home sleeping a lot. Because, I can imagine how, tiring it was to have been a Beatle, working in the studio, like, literally, I'd say almost 24/7. So yeah, I can understand he needed his sleep. And yeah, it's got like a lazy feel to it, but it's very dreamy, very psychedelic, and this also has the first use of backwards guitar. And this is brilliant. I think when George played that riff, he actually played it backwards on his guitar, and then he recorded it on the tape recorder. So he played the guitar backwards, but on the tape recorder they reversed it again to make it sound in tune. Wow, that's just genius. And then track 4, we have another George song. This one is Love You Too, and this is an Indian song, but it's absolutely brilliant. There's a little bit of guitar. I think I think Paul McCartney plays the fuzz bass on here. But yeah, there's like Indian drums on here. There's a sitar. Yeah, this is. I mean, on Rubber Soul, on Norwegian Wood, George played a sitar on there, but that wasn't really an Indian song. This is an Indian song. It's absolutely brilliant. I know a lot of people like to poke fun at George's Indian songs, but I love them. And track 5 is a Paul song, Here, There and Everywhere. And this is a beautiful, slow ballad. It's got lovely lyrics. And yeah, this is one of Paul's best. I think at this moment in the Beatles' career, I think he really did shine. Well, they all did, but I think Paul in particular, and George as well. And then track 6 is one of my absolute favourites. It's Yellow Submarine. So this is the Ringo song on the album. And yeah, I mean, I know it's a children's song, but I love Yellow Submarine. This was my favourite Beatles song when I was little. I loved it. I have very, very fond memories of this song. So, and it's still one of my sorry, it's still one of my favourites. I absolutely love this song. I love all the sound effects they use. Apparently, they actually spent more time working on this song than they did on the Please Please Me album. The Please Please Me album only took like 10 or 11 hours to do, but they spent longer working on this song. Using sound effects. They had chains in buckets. They had, and I think when John recorded his backing vocals, when he does the voice of the captain in the background, they actually put him inside a water tank, and they actually put a microphone in the water. And yeah, I can understand that would have been a risk, but yeah, they actually put him in the water tank and they put the microphone underwater. It's just genius how they did that. And there's a lot of like guest musicians who appear on backing vocals. You got Brian Jones on here from the Rolling Stones, and George Harrison's first wife, Pattie Boyd, is on here, and Marianne Faithfull is also on here as well. But yeah, I love Yellow Submarine, and this was released as a double A-side single along with Eleanor Rigby. But yeah, I love that song. And then track 7 is another John song. This one is She Said, She Said. And this is another brilliant psychedelic rock song. And yeah, the song basically is about them taking LSD. The Beatles were good friends with Peter Fonda. They went to Peter Fonda's house and they basically just went there for an LSD party. And while Peter Fonda was taking LSD, he said, "I know what it's like to be dead." So yeah, the lyric in that song, that was inspired from something that Peter Fonda had said. Yeah, it's a great song. It's got very trippy lyrics. And yeah, apparently Paul McCartney actually doesn't play on this song. It only has John, George and Ringo on here, because apparently there was an argument in the studio. There was a disagreement and Paul walked out. So yeah, he doesn't play on this one. So I think George plays bass on here. Because George normally plays lead guitar, John was usually on rhythm guitar, but on this one I think John plays the lead and the rhythm guitar, and I think George plays bass. I didn't actually know this for a long time, but Paul's not on here. But yeah, fantastic song. And track 8 is another Paul McCartney song, Good Day Sunshine. And this is just it's a simple pop song, but it's just wonderful. It's just a nice, happy song. It's one of those songs that you know, it gets you in a good mood. It's just got nice lyrics, nice piano by George Martin. I think George Martin plays piano on here. And yeah, I love this song. Track 9 is And Your Bird Can Sing. This is another John song. And this is another good rocking song. And yeah, I mean, there's not a bad song on this album. I mean, from all the albums from here on, I think they're all great. They're all perfect. So yeah, And Your Bird Can Sing is great. And then we've got another Paul song, For No One. This is a great song. It's got some good lyrics. Lyrics are basically about lost. It's about lost love. Yeah, Paul's basically singing about this. I don't know if he's actually singing about if this is actually about Jane Asher or not. I think he was still with Jane Asher at this point. Yeah, I don't know who he was singing it about, but it's about love. I think love was once a strong love, but now the love is basically dead. You know, because the woman who he loved obviously doesn't need him anymore. Yeah, I don't know if he was writing this about a real life event that happened, but it's a good song, and I love the they actually use some brass instruments on here as well. There's a brass solo on here. And it's a very Baroque kind of song. This is the Beatles trying to do Baroque music, and it's very good. Track 11 is Dr. Robert. This is a fantastic song. I love this song. This is one of my favourites. Very psychedelic, especially the Hammond organ section. It's very trippy. It's basically about this doctor. I think he was a doctor called Robert Freeman. He was a doctor in New York who'd basically give people speed pills. And some have also interpreted that it was about Bob Dylan, because Bob Dylan introduced the Beatles to pop, but no, it was about an actual doctor called Robert Freeman. So he used to give speed pills, especially to the Beatles and the Stones, Rolling Stones. But yeah, I love the song. And then track 12 is George Harrison's I Want to Tell You. So George gets 3 songs on here. And yeah, great song. I love how it sort of fades in at the beginning. It's got it's quiet to begin with, and then the guitar part just fades in, and then you've got the piano, the drum roll. This is when the Beatles were at their creative peak. And then track 13 is another Paul McCartney song, Got to Get You Into My Life. And this is a very Motown-esque song. It opens up with there's brass instruments on here, and it's very good. I absolutely love it. And the lyrics are actually about Paul's experience with pot. Like, for the longest time, I assumed the song was about a girl. You know, because, Got to Get You Into My Life, you'd assume it was about a girl. But no, it's about his experience with pot. Which kind of threw me off a little bit, because I always liked to think that it was about a girl. But still a fantastic song. And then track 14 is the epic, psychedelic Tomorrow Never Knows. Now, this is absolutely brilliant. It is trippy. I think this is one of the trippiest songs that the Beatles have ever done. The lyrics are trippy. And I love the drum roll. Like, it's not a drum roll that changes, it's just a repeated drum pattern, but it's so brilliant. And it's got a sitar, a tambura, tape loops, and the backwards guitar solo, and and John also records his voice through a Leslie amplifier. So this has the first use of flanging on mainstream music. And yeah, I think apparently John, this song was inspired by a Timothy Leary book that John was reading. He was high on LSD, and he was reading this Timothy Leary book, and it inspired him to write this song. And yeah, and it's got like seagull effects in it as well, but the seagull effects are actually it's actually Paul McCartney laughing. They recorded Paul McCartney laughing, and they sped up the tape to make it sound like it was seagulls. It's genius. I mean, this was 1966. This really was ahead of its time. Like in 1966, I don't think anyone ever did anything like this. It's absolutely wonderful. So yeah, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect album. Literally every single song is just, it just stands out. They all just stand out. Yeah, they're just outstanding in their own right. I love this album. It's one of my favourite Beatles albums. It's easily in my top 5. Probably my third favourite Beatles album. I probably rank this as my number 3. I mean, I did rank the Beatles albums months ago, but I do plan to rank them again because my opinion has kind of changed a little bit since then. But yeah, I love Revolver. My next review will be on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, another masterpiece. So until then, take care.